Okay, should be good.
Yep, it says being live streamed now. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So we're still in the book, Whatever Arises, Love That by Matt Kahn, a copy of the book. We've been reading it and we're on page 22 of the book, of the actual book. But first I'm going to let everybody on the panel jump out and say hi and introduce themselves. I'm Dan Sislick. I'm playing host this week because Samantha is once again working her butt off, making all that big money. So she can have everything ready to go for Christmas for going crazy. But she's here and I will now let everybody jump out and introduce themselves.
Hello, it's Catherine Clement.
Hey, it's Jason Roberts. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, it's Samantha Studebaker-Carl.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to kindly ask Karen if she would love to continue on reading for us in the book, where we left off on page 22, Honoring Your Innocent Nature. As we go through, the way this book has been working out and the way we've been reading it, we've been reading each of the little section off parts of each chapter and then discussing that area. And then we might cover other things that we've already talked about a little bit that might be a poignant part of what we're continuing to talk about in the current part. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, we would all love that, Catherine.
All righty, I think, are we doing rewriting the subconscious mind? Is that where we're at? I can't see you, so if you could just.
Honoring Your Innocent Nature. That was the last section of chapter 1, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, I forgot to
Hold
unmute
on,
myself.
find it. That's okay. I thought. Okay, learning to love what arises. We did that one. The next one was, sorry, I'm on my phone scrolling through a bunch of pages here. Being
it's one-
worthy of love. We did that one, right?
It was
So on my
rewriting the
book, the
subconscious
next one
mind.
is rewriting the subconscious mind. Did we already do that?
We did that
Yeah.
one last week because you read
Oh,
those different.
okay.
I don't know
Yep.
how to love. So
Yep,
we're on.
I see it. Honoring your innocent nature. Okay, I got it. Sorry, guys. All right, here we go. Maybe you're already feeling the profound effects of becoming the source of your own loving attention. Are you able to sense how much lighter you feel when honesty is embraced at a much deeper level? No matter what your experience happens to be, everything can be seen as a powerful sign of how quickly life evolves once you reunite with the beauty of your innocent nature. At times, you may be aware of your innocence in the aftermath of disappointment, in the presence of insurmountable change, or throughout the turbulence of unavoidable pain. Since everything is precisely orchestrated by the universe, it is not as if you are being punished or hurt when you come in contact with those uncomfortable feelings. Soon, you may be able to see that each climate of circumstances has been assembled only to bring you into deeper communion with the feelings of your inner child. Often, it is through discomfort that your innocence is heard the loudest. It is natural to develop an aversion to feeling difficult emotions if you're aware of your vulnerability only during moments of adversity. Maybe when you were the most open about your feelings, this led to judgment or ridicule, rejection, or even punishment from adults who became frustrated with their inability to address your concerns or change how you felt. There might even be a sense of, if only I kept my feelings to myself, everything would have been fine. Of course, every relationship, interaction, and encounter are only brought together or ever pulled apart as catalysts of divine will in action. Although you may not receive the results you hoped for, in the end, you will look back and see every ending as the best possible outcome for everyone involved. Until then, it is essential to become reacquainted with the sensitivities of your wise and innocent heart. Perhaps it can be envisioned as the child you remember being in the past, or even as the child you were never allowed to be. Whether your innocence is seen as your inner child or noticed as a raw aliveness of being, it calls out for your loving attention as a way to ensure the highest possibilities you were always meant to explore. By making peace with uncomfortable feelings, you don't have to walk around trying so hard to feel a particular way, when in reality, you're just hoping to avoid more pain and despair. It's understandable to want to avoid pain and despair, even to the extent of anticipating it on a regular basis. This is not wrong. When experienced, resistance or avoidance could only be the next in line to be loved. Through this process, you are free to admit, it's okay that I don't like feeling this, and yet it's here, so I can make peace with it. I recognize that the one who feels this way is like a child who never behaves the way I want them to act. No matter how this child feels, they are as deserving of my unconditional love as anyone else. Even if you can't embrace your emotions or cherish the one who can't accept their feelings, each moment of vulnerability inspires a greater degree of honesty as your initial key to freedom. This more intimate level of honesty allows you to focus your attention on admitting what you don't know how to do, including the confession of the one you don't know how to love. As the truth sets you free, one moment of honesty at a time, the spaciousness or relief you are able to feel in your body prepares you to be receptive to love in a brand new way. Throughout this process, it doesn't even matter how good you think you are at supporting yourself, since love is a magnificent force of divine power that is cultivated by how often you invite it in. In the new spiritual paradigm, it is essential to make peace with your emotions so you don't have to be caught in a cycle of seeking out one particular feeling and avoiding its opposite along the way. As you awaken out of a world of polarity, you are no longer tossed back and forth between the highs and lows of life. This means endless gains don't have to be followed by surprising losses simply because you have made peace with both sides, allowing either one to be an equal opportunity to love what arises. From this space of renewed freedom, bursts of joy are as valuable as overwhelming moments of despair. They may not feel the same, but both can be acknowledged as equally deserving of a love that only your heart provides. While you cannot pretend to equally celebrate both sides of life, it is quite surprising how quickly your attitude towards circumstances can shift when your heart feels safe enough to open. With love as your guide, you are invited to make peace with the true healing purpose of painful emotions so that anything other than feeling good doesn't have to be viewed as bad. Usually, when a feeling is labeled as bad, it suggests this is a really bad time to feel anything other than good. When feeling good isn't rooted in outcome or dependent upon circumstances, there is no gain or loss that comes your way for any reason but to escort you into your next highest level of consciousness. Perhaps you experience yourself as a character who encounters endless losses just so you can be reminded of an innocence that is only here to be embraced. In an attempt to help you become more aware of this, the universe arranges your life to bring your attention to the vulnerability that others in your past may have overlooked, ignored, abandoned, or betrayed. Throughout your past, there may have been instances where you naturally wished people in your life could have loved you the way you wanted to be loved. Maybe they loved you in the deepest way they could at the time, but for some reason they weren't able to provide the depth of acceptance and care that you required. Each one of these memories, in which love seemed absent from your life, is recorded in your cells. As emotions erupt, the memories that are ready to be released remind you of what it felt like during a time when you needed love the most. As a way of answering the call of innocence, loving what arises allows you to treasure your inner child in a way that no other person may have ever done before. By allowing the spontaneous release of cellular memory to remind you of the perfect moment in time to become the best parent your innocence could ever meet, you assist in clearing more space for a new heart-centered consciousness to emerge. In essence, you are using every reaction or sensation of pain, discomfort, frustration, fear, or discord to step back in time and love yourself throughout the course of your history. This experience helps you understand that there is a deeper meaning to being attached to your past. While many spiritual students work ferociously to relinquish attachments to past experiences, such attachments cannot dissolve until the one who grips the past has been fully accepted and adored. This also helps you recognize the cellular memory recorded throughout the cells of your body as the true meaning of karma. Many understand karma by saying what goes around comes around, often stated as a suggestion of vengeance. In truth, the experiences of childhood set the stage for you to revisit every suppressed feeling and denied memory as catalyst for spiritual growth. Seeing your feelings and memories this way not only helps you learn how to unconditionally love yourself the way no one else could, but also frees an entire planet by transforming the suffering of one into the gift of salvation for all. Every moment of reaction is like a cross-referencing system within your cellular body. Instead of facing every single memory or needing to keep digging up the past, every feeling is like a magnet attracting all cellular memories where you felt that common emotion. For example, in a moment of sadness, the innocence within your heart says, I bring forth all the clusters of memories when I was sad, not loved, or not supported the way I wish to be. I ask for your assistance in helping me release these clusters by loving me the way I have never been loved before. With each heartfelt embrace, you offer your body permission to release the cellular debris that is ready to be healed, no matter the circumstances or outcomes that seem to trigger it. As always, whatever arises emotionally is already being swept out of your field. Simply by bringing your attention to the part of your body where discomfort is noticed, breathing slowly into the center of the discomfort and responding to your inner child with gentle, loving attention, you are allowing cellular debris to be moved out at a more accelerated rate. As you take the time to reunite with your inner child, which can occur whether you are emotionally triggered or not, you become aware of a core of vulnerability that only wants you to be more attentive, loving, caring, and thoughtful than ever before. While it is both the universe dressed up as the character you've taken yourself to be, as well as the child in your heart awaiting your support and acceptance, it is the role playing of divine, that divine will that inspires love to come alive throughout the beauty of physical form. This reminds you that every step forward celebrates the spiritual evolution of the universe, knowing itself as the supreme innocence of all. Although the universe is masquerading both as a child within your heart and as the parent to this inner child, the highest destiny of divine will is for this child to emerge as the master that you already are. You are here on this planet going through the evolutionary process of becoming a living spiritual master, similar to the way a seed grows itself into itself as a fully blossomed flower. While a seed exists as the living potential of a flower, until it is planted and given permission to sprout roots, it cannot actually become the truth it has always been. In this reunion of cosmic innocence, you are already a spiritual master who incarnated to consciously grow into the absolute potential of your true eternal nature. In order to reveal the master within you, it is essential to allow love to be your most natural response. And when self-love isn't your immediate reaction, see it as an opportunity to welcome the next one in line, to be supported, cherished, and embraced as never before.
Thank you again, Catherine, for reading. Awesome job. I love it when you read these for us. I'll open this to anybody having any thoughts or ideas. I'm still trying to formulate some of what we read and kind of put my thoughts together a little bit.
I feel like there was quite a bit in that section that we could talk about. I mean, there's the whole idea of you know, negative emotions or emotions that come up that we typically call bad. There's that conversation. There's the conversation about karma. Well, I kind of caught a little bit about that section where he was talking about the cellular nature and that, you know, this is what karma is, versus the whole idea of what comes around goes around. And then saying right there at the end, the seed, that's the concept right there. I mean, if we're just thinking about a seed and the potential in the seed, you know, I sometimes think about that in and of itself, just this idea that, okay, this one tiny little seed has the potentiality of being millions of plants, millions of trees, millions of whatever. And it makes me sit here and go, wow, okay, so if a tiny little seed, kind of like, you know, the face is the mustard, or the face of if you have the face of a mustard seed, you know, that kind of comes from the Bible or the Christian religion. They talk about that. And that, it's like, okay, so if this tiny little seed has this unlimited, enormous potential to be so much, what do we have? What enormous, amazing potential do we have that we just don't even realize that is a part of us, that inner truth, if you will, that it's kind of talking about? What is that? You know, what does that mean? What could it mean? I don't know. Those are just some things that kind of caught my attention as Catherine was reading through there, possible things to talk about.
Yeah, and now as I'm getting some of my the part that really kind of got me was the section over towards the beginning. It says there might even be a sense of, if only I kept my feelings to myself, everything would have been fine. And it says, of course, every relationship, interaction, encounter only brought together or ever pulled apart as catalysts of divine will in action. And although you may not receive the result you hope for in the end, you will look back and see everything as the best possible outcome for everyone involved. And there have been lots of times where I wish I go back and say, well, if I didn't share, if I, you know, things probably, but the truth of the fact is when after the fact and I've looked back at that, I did, you know, share my feelings, because at that point in time, I was looking for the validation or the, you know, something. And a lot of times, you know, we take the response, a lot of times we take it negatively and personally as an attack on us. And sometimes in going back and I've looked at it, I have to then go back and kind of re-put things in context to what it's dealing with. And sometimes I think for me, when I go back and review, and even though while I'm reviewing, I'm saying, well, I wish I wouldn't have said that or did that, but then in reviewing, getting it back in context, I realized that by saying that and having sharing my feelings, And now it's given me the opportunity to go back and review and look at it and hopefully get to the right context, because then usually I tend to say, okay, and I can come back to finding a way to be at peace with what happened, even though I may not agree with the outcome or how it went. But I can ultimately, I think a lot of times, get to where I can get to that peace and move on. And I don't know if I'm essentially loving what happened, but I'm at least, I guess, getting to a point where and a lot of times I think I put a minimal value on it, but a value on that, okay, it is what that was, and I can't go back and change it. So now I accept it, and maybe next time can move forward or react in a different way to hopefully maybe bring about what I really need, in the sense of what I'm looking to validate or feel that love or that sense of whatever I'm looking for. And that's something that kind of really caught my eye and my attention as we were reading through this.
One of the paragraphs that I really like, let me get back to it. I'm going to read it over again. It is natural to develop an aversion to feeling difficult emotions if you're aware of your vulnerability only during moments of adversity. Maybe when you were the most open about your feelings, this led to judgment, ridicule, rejection, or even punishment from adults who became frustrated with their inability to address your concerns or change how you felt. And the thing I wanted to point out about that is with their inability. And I think that that is a huge thing to recognize, because I can't speak for everybody, but I can very honestly say with myself that when I'm upset with somebody, it's because of my inability to communicate or control or deal with the situation in an appropriate way. And I've had so many, especially recently, so many opportunities to see this scenario play out. And we tend to take whatever they said to us or did to us, we tend to take that personally, but it's not personal. Like, it's really their inability to deal with the situation that they then kind of take out on us. And then, of course, we do that when we get bigger too, and we can understand it after we've done it and recognize it a few times, and then be a bit more forgiving about why they did it. But I think that's a huge thing to recognize, is to not take things so personally.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
like.
God, for sure. I see this played out so much in couple relationships, where the couples, they have these hurt feelings, and they don't know how to deal with the pain that the other person appears to be causing them, and they don't know how to deal with all of their own emotional everything, and they take it out on each other, and then end up getting and making their relationship worse and worse and worse, until the point that they get to they're like, okay, I've had it, I can't do this anymore. And I feel so bad for people when I'm like, you're just taking everything so personally, but it's something that Chris and I, we've struggled with that over the years. It's just because we don't know how to deal with things when they come up sometimes, and I think that a lot of people experience that as they just don't know how to say that is productive to create a better relationship versus just butting heads and and causing themselves each more pain in the process. So I'm sorry I interrupted you there, Dan, or jump out now.
Oh, no, no problem, because that kind of adds into what I was going to say anyway, because, yeah, I think it also can play into like family relationships too, because, family relationships are the basis of where we all kind of come from and originally build up a lot of what we carry with us as adults. And in going back to what Catherine was saying, about them not being able to, where she read where, they're not able to understand, or they can become frustrated with their inability to address your concerns or change how you felt. But I think it also plays out in how they're dealing with things personally, and it may not have anything to do with you, but you still get the result of what they're dealing with through no fault of your own, and you get it taken out on you. So there's that other part, and then there's just innocuous things of where siblings can easily, really, best way I can say it, push those buttons, push those things, and do things because they, don't, all through their life, they've never really ever been able to figure out how to actively work through it, and are frustrated because of how they, even as an adult, even at my age, I still have times with my brother at times, or, sister-in-law, or, things like that, that are going on. And I get so frustrated with them. It's like, why can't you see this? Or why can't you understand what, I'm trying to say, or what I'm trying to get through to you, or whatever. And then I get really super frustrated, and I actively react and respond not in the way I always necessarily want to. And this is playing out with a friend of mine. I'm seeing firsthand. And I know when some of this, what they're going through started was when this person was involved in a bad accident, and they just started to deteriorate because of all the issues going on with their health and everything from when the accident happened, and it's affecting everything that's going on within their their life, the husband and wife life, and it's hard as a friend now, because I've going through some of these books and some of these things and some of the stuff that we've gone through. It's helping me understand and picking up on things that it's like, God, I wish you understood some of this, and I wish you could get some of this, and I want to try and help. And I've recommended the book to her, and she went and got the book, and hopefully she'll read it. But it's funny how we are so easy to see it in other people, and it's so hard to see it in ourselves too. And that's some of the other stuff that came out after what Catherine and Samantha said that came to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sorry. Yeah, it is. It's like we've been reading all these books, and then I see things in other people. Of course, the more that I read and the more books that we study, the more that I recognize stuff in myself. And I'm so glad that, that we've done this, because I'm confident that if I hadn't done all the personal development that I've done over the years, Chris and I probably wouldn't still be together. I mean, because we just wouldn't have been able to survive all of the crap that's gone on in our lives, let alone all of our emotional back and forth between us. And I mean, there's some principles, I guess, that I kind of went into with, in our relationship that help, but at the same time, there's so many different things that I just wouldn't know if if I hadn't read these books. And it's also, the other aspect is like seeing other people going through some of these things, and you're like, it's such a simple thing, if you just do this one thing, but I have to recognize, they're on their own spiritual journey, and you know, like it was saying in there somewhere about just everything that happens, or all these emotional things that come up. We have to recognize, you know, their place in the development of everything in our lives. And yeah, so okay, that's all for now.
Yeah,
Good
that's
morning, Lori and Angel. So happy you could join.
sorry, Catherine. I was going to say, yeah, it's funny how when we see it in other people, it's so easy to pick it out and like you said, say, oh, you know, like me with my friend, you know, I've been trying to push, you know, this certain book because I really think it would help him, even if she reads it and, you know, he doesn't know anything about it, but, you know, maybe it'll help, you know, on that. But and it's so funny how a lot of times we say all these things, or we get frustrated, or we confide in a friend or something. And sometimes confiding in a friend helps, but sometimes getting to that point of being able to really get to a point where you can honestly sit down with whoever the other person is, or you know what you're going through, and be honest with the other person, and be vulnerable enough to say, hey, I don't know a lot, you know, of what I'm playing in this, or I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to understand, and to help take ownership of that. So then that way, like I think the book is trying to say, is that it frees you up and gets you to that honest spot where you can honestly look back and love yourself um, through that process too. So that way you're really being the most honest, authentic self that you are with that person, but hopefully without the anger or the other things, that you can really sit and have that dialogue. But that's hard to do sometimes. And the feelings and the emotions and everything get worked back up again, or come into play again. And I've learned that that's hard to do, because I've tried to do that sometimes. And in those moments, I've gotten just as frustrated, or even more frustrated, because I'm trying to come back and say, okay, I understand I'm a part of, you know, this issue here, but you also have a part of that issue too, that on your side, you need to look at and, you know, work with, you know, because I can only work on myself, and I can only take so much and deal with and put what I can out there. And for me to grow and for me to get better and realizing my own things, so then that way going forward, I can try and work and be better in how I respond and react in love. And I hope, you know, hopefully we'll respond and act more that way. But a lot of times that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I like the part in here where it talks about a new spiritual paradigm, um, because it does seem like, as I dig into this, it's opening up a conversation within myself, and recognizing, you know, any feelings, any disturbances, or any anxiety, you know, and really trying to, you know, it's asking us to identify where that is, and so that we know where it is, like physically in our body, and at the same time I'm trying to remember where that emotion is coming from, or why I'm even feeling it, because sometimes it doesn't even make sense. It's like, where is this from? I don't even know. You know, it's not like I've had a major loss in this area or something. It's just, for some reason, it's there. But it does talk about how these emotions can compound a little bit. In It was saying that, and I was trying to find the part, but But in regards to the new spiritual paradigm, it says it is essential to make peace with your emotions so that you don't have to be caught in a cycle of seeking out one particular feeling and avoiding its opposite along the way. And as you awaken out of the world of polarity, you are no longer tossed back and forth between the highs and the lows of life. And this allows and means the endless gains don't have to be followed by surprising losses simply because you've made peace with both sides, allowing either one to be an equal opportunity to love what arises. I like that shift in thinking. Um, and then this other part, what I just mentioned, saying every moment of reaction is like a cross-referencing system within your cellular body. Instead of facing every single memory or needing to keep digging up the past, every feeling is like a magnet attracting all cellular memories where you felt that common emotion. And for example, in a moment of sadness, the innocence within your heart says, I bring forth all the clusters of memories with when I was sad, not loved or not supported the way I wished to be. I ask for your assistance in helping me release these clusters by loving me the way I have never been loved before. So that's where I think it sort of references how things can compound upon. And so, like, one feeling of anxiety may come from many different instances in our lives where we felt a similar sense of anxiety. And so that when you feel, after a while, you feel this anxiety, but you don't know exactly where it came from, because maybe you didn't feel it so in such a volume at any one particular time, but over the years, maybe it's built up a little bit. And so I love that it just references that.
Well, I like what you were saying and what you were getting at, and I think for me, in some instances, there have been times where I've been just like when I've been out driving and stuff, and all of a sudden this feeling will just hit me, or I'll be, something will pop into my mind, and then as I'm thinking about that thought, I tend to go down that little bit of a rabbit hole, and my mind just goes circle, and it's like, wait, how did this get started? I was fine. I was in an okay mood. I was doing where where and why did this pop up, and what triggered it when I wasn't even honestly remotely anywhere near that thought or process. And that's something, and I don't know if that's part of what this book is getting at, that eventually down at the cellular level, it's clearing some things out. Maybe as I'm looking at it, maybe this is part of the way of clearing it out, and giving me another opportunity to look at it and go over it, and maybe do some more evaluation on, okay, that instance really affected me, and so until because I was trying to understand what it was talking about at the cellular level and getting debris out and stuff, but maybe now that I'm thinking about, maybe this is that way of where, out of the blue, that feeling comes up, and it's your body and yourself working on clearing it out more and getting it, giving you the opportunity to go and reevaluate and maybe get back to that love that you need, or we're looking for, or we're wanting, and to help balance and get back to your highest level self. And that's the only thing I can really think of, is why that happens, because I have literally been in the best mood, greatest, days going great and everything, and then that one little blip of a thought, and it flips, and it's like, and then I'm like, and it takes me a while to kind of get back out of it then too. So I'm wondering if that's really what he's meaning at the cellular level, cleaning out the debris and stuff.
I think, the more, when we go through like these mantras and we start thinking this way about clearing out the cellular debris or clearing out these feelings, just like you're saying, I think we kind of we're giving ourselves the permission to have the communication. And so our subconscious kind of goes with it, because we want it to do it. And I think it just, like you said, it can that way, it can sort of makes things come up when we don't expect them to, because we've opened that communication up. And so I think it's just like what you're saying there. We're aware of it. Now we can know okay, this is an opportunity to clear it out, kind of a thing. So, but I also see how, it has stirred up the conversation in my own mind, in my own heart, and in my own being, that it's it's either, okay, you've opened the communication channel, so do the work and deal with it, or have a tendency to try to just not go back into the old way of not not dealing with it, or just putting it aside and compartmentalizing it or whatever, but I like the idea. Just it allows us to actually do the work and clear it out.
Well, I just had a weird thought. I'm wondering if even when it randomly jumps in our thought process and stuff, maybe at that point, because the book is saying a lot of it's divinely orchestrated and working through to help us get to back to that childhood love, innocence type thing. I may be a little off on how I'm remembering what it said there, but maybe that's at a point where we can maybe deal with it in a way that allows us to deal with it and work on clearing it out, even though we probably don't fully get it cleared out until we finally feel at peace with whatever. But maybe it's a way of doing it without total, even though like for me, I said I kind of go down that rabbit hole and go over and over it. But I think for me and going over it, but yet I'm looking at it from the outside, kind of, I'm looking at it and trying to be objective, like, okay, this is what happened, why and how, but what was the underlying thing? And is there another perspective, or is there another way I can look at it that will help me reframe it to where I can maybe be able to move forward and accept it and get to that point where I can feel that love or accept or be able to deal with it and then maybe clear it out. Maybe that's another better way of saying it too, that we're allowing ourselves that freedom. But for me, I usually have to step outside of it when I start doing that and try and look at it from a whole different perspective, rather than the perspective of the hurt or where I reacted from. And maybe that's a tool or a way of, I don't know for anybody else, but maybe that's a tool and a way of how I can process and get things through that I've never really realized before until now, really speaking about it.
I'm going to jump in here real quick because I might have to drop off of here. But I just wanted to thank you, Samantha, for starting this group, and for everybody that's been doing it. And I know there's been multiple times where we've kind of, we haven't really grown our audience, and we've kind of said, wow, should we really be doing this kind of thing? Well, I don't think we've ever really asked that, but we've kind of wondered, should we keep going? Is anybody ever going to start listening or whatever? And I just want to say that, this group keeps me going. And for the past 6 months, and especially the last 2 months, I've been dealing with some really difficult things. And without my training and mindset, it would be a completely different response to what I'm going through. And I'll just say, because it happens to be the National Awareness Month for it, I've been diagnosed with CRPS, which is complex regional pain syndrome. And like, I went to the doctor day before yesterday, and he looked at me and he said, you know, I can't fix this. I can amputate your foot, but that's all I can do for you. And so it's some pretty heavy stuff that that I'm dealing with. And I use these things, you know, everything that we've learned and all these books that we've read, like, I use these techniques every day just to keep me going, and to you know, not give into it and not give up, because it's it's now my third. There are some diseases out there that are called suicide diseases because they're so painful that people take their lives, and I now have 3 of those diseases. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I am living physically what we're talking about, um, as far as what has happened to my body now is that I have so many cellular memories of pain that my central nervous system is just completely wired for pain, and it just throws constant pain signals. And yes, I have some injuries and physical things that caused that, but in the end, you know, it all boils down to having to reframe and retrain my body to survive, and to not um, to not just be in complete overwhelm all the time. And so, even if we did this all these years just for me, I just want to say thank you, because these techniques keep me going. So I love you guys.
Love you so much, Catherine. Love you so much. Virtual hug, spiritual hug. My heart is hugging your heart. I love you so very much.
Yeah, I'll jump out and just say, personally, for me, I think I've said it a few times in the past, but you being a part of this group and what you bring to the group has really helped me in a lot of ways and given me strength when there have been times when I've been really overwhelmed and really feeling a lot of things. And to look at your strength and your resolve and your love that you have for yourself has been something that has helped me a lot in, you know, my own stuff. So for me, yeah, there's a lot of love for me to you just in that respect and for that.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been just such a huge help for me as well, and I've really learned a lot uh, from you over the years, and as I have learned from, you know, just about everybody that's been on in the group. Also, um, always an eye-opening and mind thought-provoking session each time we speak, and I really love your energy and just how you're out there you're helping other people, and and even in the midst of everything that you're going through. And I really hope you feel better soon here, and I you know, pray that that all your ailments go away, and your nerves just will calm down, and give you some comfort. Really appreciate you, and sending you love.
I have to echo that, Catherine. I love you so much. And I listened to a call that Matt does like once a month or so. And he was talking about helping the helpers. And I think you're one of those helpers. And if there's anything I can do other than just pray and send love and healing, we're here.
Thank you all so much. I love you guys so much. You just don't even know.
Yeah.
I'll throw this out there, and I think that over the years and over what we've all gone through, all the different books and all the different things, the thing that is the core thing about this group that I don't think a lot of other groups have is the true, genuine love that we all have for each other, and how we take strength and get built up and get breathed into to help us move forward and continue on with what we're, everything that we're going through as part of this book. Without, I think all of our lives would be very different if we all didn't have this group, and if we all did. And I think that's part of what keeps us coming back here and keeps us, here, is because of the deep down underlying love that there is, and that I think we can show and prove that love can really radiate out, and that it can really be a stronger force out there when it's a real, genuine love, not on any super level or any super, when it's there and where we can see and be and edify and help and love and lift other people up. And we get so much more out of that we get lifted up too. And I'm not saying that egotistically or anything like that. I just think, there's a real value there. And, if more of the world could understand those things, I think things would be a lot different, and no matter where we come on, how we believe or what our beliefs, or where we stand on certain things, I think this group has proven that, you can show and do and be as different as each one of us are, and have our feelings and have our, faith and beliefs and stuff, but still genuinely love and work on bringing that love that so deep down we're all kind of looking for, that so we can love ourselves just as much too.
Hey, Dan, since you're the host, are you capable, do you see an option to end the live stream off YouTube since I'm driving? It'll be a minute before I get to the other end of my route. I do want to just say to everybody that I appreciate all of you so very much, and I agree with everything everybody just said on the whole aspect of how much we've helped each other. And I know that I wouldn't be in the place that I'm at with my relationship with my husband, with my family, with my business, with pretty much everything, if it wasn't for you guys, and if it wasn't for the things that we talk about. So I'm so thankful for all of you. So very thankful. Anybody have any final thoughts on the chapter before we wrap up for today? I know one thing kind of popped out in my head there. One of the last things when we were talking about the cellular memory and whatnot, is that, one thing we can kind of think about is when we get triggered in one way or another, whether it's a random thought that pops up like what Dan was talking about, or whether it is physical pain in our body like Catherine was talking about, or whether it is like what I was saying in relationship is when somebody says something and it triggers you to have like anger or upset or frustration or sadness or whatever, is that we can recognize that in ourselves, that wait a second, it's not necessarily that one little thing that person said or did, or the thing that happened out there outside of ourselves. This is like all of our cellular memory from before now that is coming back, and that's where all that emotion is coming from versus this instance that's happening in the moment. And we can also take a moment, and when someone else is reacting to us, is recognize that in them also, that one little thing that we did that supposedly pissed them off in whatever way, or upset them, or got them emotionally stimulated, is not just about what we just did. It's about all of their cellular memory of everything that's happened to them in their lives. And when we can have compassion for that person and recognize that and not take things so personally, is then we can express love to that person instead of a continuous back and forth of hurting each other more and more. Is that we can instead send love to them and even just stop whatever we're saying. One of the times that I had the biggest breakthrough with my husband in our relationship is that I tend to be really bossy and, controlling and all of that kind of thing. And he had just had it one day. He was just like, I'm over it. Stop. You got to stop this. And he had this big outburst, which he normally doesn't have. And I stopped. I did stop for a moment, and I recognized what I was doing because we've been doing this work. And I just stopped talking. And not in a, attitudinal way like we tend to do sometimes in relationships. I didn't just clam up and be like, I'm going to give you the silent treatment now. I stopped and I started listening to what he was saying. And I recognized that he had a lot more going on than what my little thing was, that my little bossiness was causing him. And I just stopped and just allowed him to express his emotions and allowed him to express his feelings and acknowledge those feelings. And in that moment, it let all of that tension that was between us that could have turned into a huge, enormous, obnoxious argument. Instead, it calmed him, it calmed me, and we were able to communicate further from that moment instead of reacting and being in a big conflict. And it was such a simple thing. It's amazing to me sometimes how some of these things that we learn, they seem like such a big thing, but in reality, they are such a small thing and so easy. And I'm thankful to know, I'm so thankful to have learned the things. And anyway, that's my wrap up for for today. And on the last thing that we talked about, did you find an option for ending the YouTube stream?
On here up at the top of the screen, it says on the YouTube, it says I can stop recording. So I'm going to do that and try that, and let's see if it works. So does it say stop recording or stop the live stream on YouTube? I'm on the YouTube portion because there's a thing next to it that says just regular recording, and then there's the other. So I'm going to press stop on the YouTube part, and hopefully it does it. So
okay, well, yeah, wrap up first before you hit that.
I will just add that Matt's big thing.
Mute me out if you can. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Matt, the author's big thing the last couple of weeks has been that we all deserve more love, not less.
Yeah, that's great, Lori. Thanks for bringing that back around. That's for sure. I want to add that, being able to be on here, again, thanks so much, Samantha, for the group, and thank you for the readings, Catherine. I know you had to go, but I appreciate you with the readings. You do a great job there, and thanks, Dan, for hosting. Appreciate you there. You know, the being able to come out and ask questions and share and have these breakthroughs. You know, for me, it allows me to see things like you are getting at there, Samantha. You know, it kind of allows us to not only to give ourselves permission, but to be more aware of opportunities where we can kind of step back and notice things like you were just speaking of, where we can make a difference, and sometimes by doing less than rather than doing more. You know, and I just want to touch real quick on what he was saying in the book and when the reading in this chapter, where it was, I think it mentioned about how when we've you know, moments in our lives where maybe we had an I don't know, we made someone aware of something that was a concern of ours, and we didn't get the reaction from that person that we expected or that we needed. And one of the things that going through or being in a group like this and having these breakthroughs and being more aware allows me to realize that, you know, it says don't take these things personal, like you mentioned, Samantha, early on, you know, the people, you know, that we take these things personal when sometimes we may just have not timed that question correctly, or we didn't move into that moment in a way where we, you know, or where we didn't recognize where the person was that we were trying to have that communication or that interaction with. When we didn't recognize where that person was mentally in their mind or in their place of being at the moment. And so maybe that's why they reacted not in the way that we expected or needed. And you know, but being in these groups and sharing and have these breakthroughs and going through these types of trainings, you know, helps us to realize this and change the way that we go into these things, so that we don't have to think that there's always going to be that same outcome. You know, that there is a different way to approach these things, and you know, we can recognize where we are and also where they are at the same time. And I just want to close by again, like what Lori said, you know, no matter where you are, you deserve so much more love, not less. And whatever you're feeling, choose not to be bitter, be better. You know, try to be productive and proactive and not destructive, and things will come out better for you. So thanks again so much, and have a wonderful day, everybody. Appreciate you all, and God bless.
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up for the Saturday Morning Mastermind. We'll be starting on chapter 2 of the book, Whatever Rises, Love That by Matt Kahn. We got a lot out of the first chapter, and I assume that as we go through more and more of this, we'll get some more insights and understandings of how we can grow in loving ourselves and loving other people through that, and moving forward to help better understand things when we are interacting people, and maybe help ourselves interact in a more loving way, and to bring forth the type of results that we are looking for, but also results that maybe can help them achieve results and maybe some breakthroughs, even though they may not realize it. So with that, we'll see you next week for the Saturday Morning Mastermind, and look forward to seeing y'all. Please, if you want to join us, you can always get a hold of our Facebook group, Mindset Mastery Collective, and ask to join the group there. You can find our videos on YouTube. Please go over, watch, like, subscribe, and join. Same thing with Facebook. And we would love to have you join us on the live stream as a panelist, and look forward to hearing from you and later, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Okay, let me stop it. Oh, but it says we're still live, but it still says we're